Here's to 2022 being less shit than 2021. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is 𝐒𝐻𝐕𝐎𝐔𝐑𝐈𝐀 and I post videos every week on topics such as sustainability, self-development, makeup and books, and just general topics and interests that I have. So firstly, I just wanted to say a happy new year. I hope that you have had a great break. I definitely at the end of last year needed a solid break from just life and work and just everything. So I haven't been filming for the last couple of weeks, and to be honest, I completely missed it. The second I just sat down and just had the whole camera set up, I was like, this is homecoming. I'm in my comfort zone being in front of a camera. I just feel like I'm talking to a friend, and this is exactly why I started my channel. So the reason why I wanted to sit down was I wanted to take a moment to just reflect back on 2021, the year that it was, some of the lessons that I learned along the way, but also talk about, you know, in terms of 2022, what are some of the things that I wanted to focus on in light of all the lessons that I learned over 2021, but also 2020 as well. So I feel like 2021 and 2020 were such difficult years for everybody in one way or another, whether it's due to family, finances, or in terms of employment, or just general like mental health. I think, especially at the end of last year, I kind of took a step back from everything just to kind of sit down and just reflect back on the past 2 years, the things that I've learned along the way, and I wanted to share it with you guys today. So I'm hoping that by me making this video and kind of sharing with you some of the lessons that I've learned over the last couple of years, it will encourage you to step back and sit down and reflect back on the lessons that you have learned over the last 2 years so that we can take that moving forward into the new year. So I think what sort of prompted me to think about this was that I felt like 2021 was such a different year from 2020. With 2020, when the pandemic hit, I feel like everybody kind of took a step back to sort of reevaluate their life and reevaluate their values and where it is that they want to stand in their life. So I felt like everybody kind of took the time to really hone in on themselves and really focus on themselves. And then when 2021 came about and the pandemic was still going, I sort of went in the opposite direction, where I started to try and put myself out of my comfort zone to try new things, but also meet new people. Because 2020 was it was a year of like nothing, that I felt like 2021 had to be the year where everything had to happen, which in a way was really great because I felt like I pushed myself out of my comfort zone. I tried new things, I met new people, I made new friendships, but I also felt like I probably pushed myself past my limits, probably too much. 2021 was the year of extremes, in my opinion. The highs were so high and the lows were so low. In terms of things that were not so great, there was a death in my family, which was really difficult because I couldn't be there in person to support my family, which meant that, you know, I just basically had to be here and attend the funerals like virtually, and it was a really difficult time for my family, and it was heartbreaking that I couldn't be there to support them in person. And the first 6 to 8 months of last year was spent working on my visa to try and get permanent residency, and I was in such a state of, you know, feeling insecure about my place here in Australia and whether or not I could actually stay. And, you know, my biggest worry was that I'd end up being deported and have to go back to my country, which wouldn't have been the worst thing, but, you know, after being here for so long, that was something that I wanted to work towards, was to actually get this permanent residency. Last year, my mental health took such a toll. I don't think that I have ever had as many mental breakdowns as I did last year. But then again, when I reflect back, last year was a year of so many highs as well, and there was such good things that came out of last year. You know, for example, the first 6 to 8 months was spent on my permanent residency visa, but I did end up getting it, and I ended up getting it in 2 months, which was such a blessing because, you know, for some people they would take up to 2 years to hear back, and for me to hear it back in 2 months was just incredible. And some other great things that happened was, you know, for example, this YouTube channel was something that I've been wanting to start up for 4 to 5 years, and I never got around to it. And finally last year I was like, you know what, 2020 was so crap, I felt like it took a year of my life. I want to try and do all the things that I never got to do, and I did start up this YouTube channel, and it was incredible. One of my friends actually asked me, you know, if 2020 hadn't happened with the pandemic, would you have started your YouTube channel? And to be honest, My answer was actually no. It's been one of the blessings of 2021 that I just felt like, because 2020 was such a year of nothing, that 2021 was the year where I wanted to make something of my own, and this YouTube channel was one of it. And I feel like I've really pushed myself out of my limits in terms of creativity, in terms of really exploring some of the things that I like. But also, one of the great things that's come out of this YouTube channel as well is that I've also developed better friendships with existing friends that I have, but also people that I haven't spoken to in ages. For example, you know, when I think about friends that I haven't spoken to in ages, like Lizzie, Laura, Claudia from St. Catherine's College are some of the people that come to mind immediately, that I've known them since 2013, 14, and some of them I've spoken to, you know, one-on-one, and we've had several conversations. But there were certain things that I didn't know that they were interested in, and through this platform I've managed to develop better friendships with those people, and it's been incredible. And it's probably been one of the blessings of 2021 that I'm super grateful for, is that I felt that I built better connections with people that I knew, and it's been one of the greatest things that's come out of 2021. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about in this video were some of the lessons that I learned from 2021. So I actually bought this book recently. It's actually from MiGoals, and it is called The Goal Digger Planner, and it had so many prompted questions that made me reflect on I guess what happened in 2021, and I felt like sort of prompted me to kind of do this video. So one of the things that they actually asked me in this book is, what are some 3 important lessons that I learned from 2021? And the first lesson that I wanted to talk about, which was a really important one for me to learn, was not every relationship you put effort into is going to be worth your time and energy. This past year, even though 30 seconds ago I was literally talking about the fact that one of the great things that came out of 2021 was that I built better friendships and built better connections with people around me, I felt where 2020 was the year of finding out what my values are and what kind of life I want to be living, 2021 was the year of figuring out which activities I wanted to do and which people fit into my life. These last 2 years, I've really learned who really fits into my life and who doesn't anymore. And it hasn't been the best of lessons. It was quite painful in some circumstance, because some friendships were long-standing friendships that I've had for ages, and I felt like this pandemic has brought out the best and the worst in some people, and you find out that people heal in different ways and people want different things in life. And through this point of reflection and contemplation, I realized that some of the values that I have don't really align with the values of some of the people that I've been friends with for years. And for a while I kept trying to put effort and time into these relationships with the hope of maybe changing it and trying to grow with it. And you just sort of figure out that some friendships don't work for you anymore, and it's no fault of yours or no fault of theirs. It's just, you're just not in a good place of your friendship right now, and that's okay. And it's okay to grow with some of your friendships, and it's also okay to grow out of your friendships sometimes as well. Good friendships, you should be able to go through all the phases of life, but through this past year I've learned that there are some friendships that really don't go well through the different phases of life. As you grow older and you work out what actually works for you and what you actually value in life, you just realize that you just don't align with them anymore, and that's okay. And hopefully moving forward into 2022, I'd be a little bit more selective into the people that I actually give my time and energy to. So the second lesson that I learned in 2021 is that doing what makes you happy doesn't have to make sense to anybody else. One of the things that people asked me last year was, why are you spending so much time on this YouTube channel? It's taking up so much of your time. You could be spending that time doing something else. And I've just sort of learned along the way that, this is something that makes me happy. It's a creative outlet. I thrive on being creative and try and push myself into, I guess, speaking up about things that I'm really interested about. But also it's a way for me to build connections with some of my family and friends, especially those who I can't be with in person right now. And it makes me happy. And if it doesn't make sense to anybody else, that's okay. And the third lesson that I learned in 2021 is No amount of activities, parties, or retail therapy can distract you from your inner chaos. So 2021 was a year of me trying out so many different things and really pushing myself out of my comfort zone. And while that has come with so many great advantages, I also felt that I distracted myself from a lot of the inner chaos that I was dealing with. With all of the different lows that I dealt with in terms of my mental health, being away from my family. I've been away from my family for 2 years, which has not been great, and I've really missed them. And it's not even like being away from Malaysia is not even like just missing my family and friends, because, you know, people say at least you can still Skype them, you know, we live in the age of technology. It's also the culture as well. Being Malaysian is so ingrained into who I am. Not being able to speak my native tongue has been nuts. Like, people tend to forget that English is actually not my first language, it's my second language. And I feel that, you know, being able to speak Malay sort of unlocks this different side of who I am and a different side of my personality, and I haven't had that opportunity to nurture that part of me for the past 2 years, and it sucks. But the borders are going to be opening soon, so trying to be realistic about it. I don't think I'll be seeing my family until the middle of this year, but we'll see how it goes. So moving forward into 2022, I wanted to share with you, I guess, some of the life philosophies that I really want to take with me, I really want to practice and try and make it a part of my life. And the first thing that I really want to try and focus more on is giving more time to activities and people who make me feel like my best self. So as I mentioned earlier, 2021 was the year of trying to figure out who fits into my life and who doesn't. 2020 was the year of figuring out what kind of life I actually want to have and the values that I have. And moving into 2022, I really want to try and focus on spending time with people and spending time on activities that make me feel like the best version of myself. It takes me a really long time to be able to open up to people and to be vulnerable. And, you know, even though that I do have this public platform where I share bits of my life, the truth is that I'm quite private about a lot of aspects about my life, as most people are. And I really want to spend time this year with people who make me feel like I don't have to tiptoe on eggshells. I do realize that I'm very much a people pleaser, and it's such a fault of my personality. I try and put effort and time into relationships that really end up draining me and end up taking so much of my time, and it's something that I really want to try and focus on this year, is to try and be more intentional with my time and spending time with people and activities that really make me feel like I can be myself without having to explain it to anybody else, and be around people who accept me with all of my faults and all of my silliness and all of the things that come with me, quirks and all. The second thing that I want to try and do more of in 2022 is to set better boundaries to prioritize my mental health. And this sort of goes hand in hand with the first thing. 2021 was the year of trying out new things and putting myself out there, which was great, but I also felt like my mental health did get the brunt of it. It got the short straw. It got the short end of the stick, or whatever it is that the phrase is. Because by the end of 2021, I was so done. I was so happy to just not have to speak to anyone, not have to do anything, not have to do any work. And the time of holidays should be a time of celebration as opposed to recovery. And I felt that this past couple of weeks, while I haven't had any work, I was recovering from work, but also from people and from activities. And I just felt like I needed like a timeout. And this year I want to try and be more intentional with my time and the people that I spend time with, and really put my mental health first, because nobody else is going to do it for me. And the third thing that I want to try and remember in 2022 is to not punish myself for not having all of the answers right now. I have a problem with change. I think that any kind of change is scary to me. I'm very much a risk-averse person, and having to do anything that's different from my routine is such an anomaly for me. So even this YouTube channel, for example, was such a huge step out of my comfort zone. And not having the answers to everything, or not being able to have a plan, is so scary to me. At the end of the day, I need to remind myself that I'm only 28. I'm still figuring my stuff out. Everybody is still figuring their stuff out. I think while social media is great in so many different ways that we can connect with people, it's sometimes also not that great because it acts as the highlight reel for everybody's life. I'm at that age now where people are getting engaged, they're getting married, they're getting houses, they're getting babies, and it's a little bit scary because I feel like I am not on track on a lot of these things. I mean, yes, I have a great boyfriend and I've been with him for 6 years now, but in so many ways, the timeline that you have for yourself is not going to match up with somebody else's timeline. And that is something that I always have to constantly remind myself. And even though on social media, it seems that people really have their shit together, we don't really know what happens behind closed doors. And me not having the answers right now is not a bad thing because life is a long journey and we have so much longer to go, and we're gonna have time to do all the adult things like getting a house and getting married and getting babies. So if you're in the space where you have none of that, I'm just here to tell you that's okay. It's fine. It's the time to be you in all the ways that you can, and to enjoy life without having any of those responsibilities is also great, and in itself is also a privilege. So trying to remind myself that not having all the answers right now is totally fine. And while I may have the odd existential crisis now and then, it's okay because everybody has those, I feel, at this age, and it's all right. We can have a cup of hot chocolate or grab a coffee and talk about it. I'm always here for that. And the fourth thing that I really want to try and focus on in 2022 is to acknowledge that consistent progression is better than perfection. I think the issue that I've always had is that I always have a tendency of needing everything to be perfect, and I need things to be done a certain way, and if there's any deviations from that, then I end up either procrastinating or not doing it at all. I want to try and tell myself that it's okay to make mistakes and it's okay to have progressions, because the little steps is what makes the big milestones worth it. So trying to be consistent is better than trying to be perfect. And I know that this isn't going to be, groundbreaking news for everybody. It's not rocket science, but it is something that I'm always consistently trying to work on. So that's kind of what I'm trying to work on in 2022. In terms of my actual goals, I always feel that I sort of try and set 4 goals, and I always try and focus one on health, one on spirituality, one on wealth, and a personal project. This book is great, by the way. If you don't have a planner for 2022, I would highly recommend picking up one of the MiGoals planners. They are fantastic. They have such great prompted questions. They've got habit trackers per week. Yeah, so let me know if you want me to do sort of a flip through of this book, or to show you like a review of it at the end of the year, or even after a few months of use. I have set 3 short-term goals and 2 long-term goals. Feels like I'm sharing my diary. Feels like I'm sharing my life. Is this too much? Oh well, I am too much, and you know what, whatever. Okay, so in terms of health, one of the first things I want to do is try and improve my health this year. So in case you didn't know, I have hypothyroidism and polycystic ovarian syndrome, or PCOS. So I do have a health goal this year to lose a certain amount of weight by June. And I want to try and do this by, trying to walk a certain amount of steps per day. I've started a meal delivery plan called Dynamic. So that's going to be arriving on Saturday, tomorrow, technically, when I post this video. And that's going to be one of the ways that I want to try and lose weight and try and improve my health, is by eating better, but also trying to pick exercises that I enjoy doing. Because one of the things that I've realized is that I hate high intensity training, I hate running, and that's okay, it's just not for me. But I do love swimming, so that's something that I've been doing more of, and I've already swam twice this week, and hopefully in the future I plan on swimming 2 to 3 times and doing some light cardio, because that's my preference. And I also like to take long walks on the beach with a long pier, so hit a girl up. So the second short-term goal that I've got is to save a certain amount of money by the end of this year. And I've got like a whole like low buy rules for the next 3 months that I'm going to try and follow. And when I do a low buy, I usually have like a certain amount of rules that, you know, of things that I can't buy. For example, physical books is on my list of things that I can't buy. What else? Uber Eats and the Uber app is going to be something I'm going to try and limit my use of. Skincare and cosmetics is another one as well. I've made a rule that I can only buy those when I run out. And then I've also got a list of things that I am allowed to actually buy. So these are going to be things such as, there's this top that I really want to get that's made out of silk from this ethical, sustainable brand. There's also ethical underwear that I really want to try and invest in. So I've got like a list of things that I allow myself to buy, and I'm going to try and space it out over the next 3 months. And it's all things that I've thought about for months, and I really want to get it, and I've really put thought and research into it, so I know that these are things that I really want to have. I've got a spiritual goal, so in case you don't know, I'm Muslim, and I want to try and improve my relationship with my religion this year. So I've got like a whole set of things that I really want to try and do more of. Reading books of spirituality and practicing the religion a lot better is also on my list. So yeah, that's going to be something that I want to try and work on. In terms of my YouTube channel, I've already mentioned this on my Instagram, but I'm aiming to post videos every Friday, and I'm going to aim to post a second video in a week every fortnight. So, and I've chosen the upload day for that one to be a Sunday. I haven't really worked out what day is going to be responsible for what kind of topics. So I think Fridays, this is my idea for now, this may change. I think that Fridays are going to be the days where I am going to post videos on topics such as sustainability and self-development. And then Sundays are going to be the fun days where I post videos on books and makeup and things like that. I'm really excited. I have so many ideas of like things that I really want to film. I'm going to be doing a decluttering series very soon, and I'm planning to do another reading challenge as well. And yeah, I think this is going to be a good year. I feel like I've changed my work schedule. I'm now going to be working 4 days instead of 5 days, so I have a little bit more time to actually invest into this YouTube channel, which, as I've discussed, is something that I really want to do more of, is activities that make me feel like my best self. And this is one of them. And another thing, I wasn't sure I was gonna share this, but you know what? I've been pretty vulnerable throughout this entire video, so I'm just gonna say it. One of the things, or one of the long-term goals that I have for this year is that I'm planning to publish a book. I'm probably going to release it on the later end of this year. So yeah, so that's all I'm gonna say. It's gonna be a collection of poetry and prose, and yeah, that's all I'm gonna say, because everything's still sort of like in the works, but I'll update you guys as I go. So yeah, anyway. So if you are new to my channel, I hope you consider subscribing. I try and create a space that's all about comfort and community. And if you are a family or a friend and you haven't subscribed, I hope you would consider doing so. It really helps to support my little channel, and I appreciate every single one of my subscribers here. Thank you so much for watching my video, and hopefully I'll see you in my next one. Bye. Hey guys, welcome back to... It's like riding a bike. You get into the swing of things again. Don't look at yourself, look at the camera. Microphones here, project. I post videos every week on topics such as sustainability, self-development, makeup, and books. Oh my god, I'm sweating. That's what's happening right now, is I am sweating. Oh my god, can't be that hot. It's 23. The humidity levels must be like 100. It's 73, no wonder.
Turn this on.
Okay.
Record with the button and zoom with the top 2 buttons.
Ooh. So that's... Oh! See, this is why I have a boyfriend who's an engineer. So you're so handy. That's why I love you. I don't know what I'd do without you. Oh, my TV would be in Spanish. Oh, somebody's getting arrested. Somebody's getting arrested.